we see great possibilities here with the native plants for forage systems. There is always the deal, well, it costs so much to convert, and but what do you see in the long term where a farmer, rancher is willing to convert to this diverse native grasslands?
Well, I think that just number one, the increased cost on Bermuda, for instance, I mean, it is not going to perform without fertilization, without proper liming. So the increased cost in those two areas, number one, is one reason I think a lot of landowners are starting to really look at doing something different, because with the natives you don't have that cost. There were a lot of my landowners that were doing rotational grazing. We were cost sharing on permanent electric fence. So we were getting a lot of good rotation on these pastures, but they still maintain their hay fields. That's part of the culture, is we've got to put up hay every year. So we know what that's costing. You've got to have the tractor, you've got to have the rake and the baler, you've got to buy the expensive net wrap now.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of, in the long term, I think the natives are going to really give the landowner an option to try to make some money in the cattle business, because of the increased cost of using introduced warm seasons.
Right.
It's not like Bermuda. You can't go in there after you get your stand up and graze it to the ground.
Right.
You have to, there's lots of things that you have to consider in terms of establishment in grazing time. So that was a negative for a lot of people in that country, and it's just a hurdle that I think we have to continue to work on to get people to understand, especially with the increased cost of input cost on putting up hay. I think it's the future of what needs to be done for the cattle.
And we have developed establishment methods now. It used to be you kind of, with standard knowledge, it took 3 years to get a usable stand. We can have that now, and with some of the chemical usage, some of the establishment methods. So.
And I think that's one of the important things that you guys, versus some of the other seed companies, have done is to figure out what works for the landowner and what can be done, and educate them to, if they're interested in trying to convert, you've got the information available to those people.